Hello, first graders. Here for writing with Mrs. T. So we've been working on our informational writing. And so remember last week we wrote about gardening, and then I wrote about cows, remember? And then you were supposed to write about an animal. So I hope you all wrote about an animal that you knew everything about. Because remember, we're talking about being experts, okay? So I have my chart up here of our ways that we write our informational writing. So it's kind of like an outline, okay? So remember we talked about we have a title, all about, and then you're telling whatever it is you might be writing about. And then you'll have your topic sentence. Today, I will tell you about, and whatever you're going to tell them about. And then you have to give your facts that are your details about whatever your topic is. And then you have your conclusion, okay? Now, we talked too about how we had made a list of ideas that we could write about if we wanted to in our informational text. And remember, we also said that things like sports, that could be any sport that you know a lot about, or different toys that you really like, that could be something that you write about too. So you would pick something off this list, and maybe you added some different ones, or maybe you didn't know a lot about dolls, so you added something you did know a lot about, like Legos, and that's fine too. So when you're writing about one of these things, we just have to remember that outline, and then we have to remember that we have to be experts, because it says writers of informational text choose topics they know a lot about and can teach to others, okay? Now, remember how I told you too that maybe you don't have a pet at home that you know a lot about, or maybe you just don't know a lot about certain things that I said, well, you can use books for that. So I was going to show you a few different nonfiction books that we have at our house that maybe you have some similar ones that you would also want to pull out, read it, come up with some ideas, and then you can write about it. So these are some of the ones we have here. There are a lot of the National Geographic Kids, so we have this one about pandas, and then when you look inside of these books, that nonfiction text, they always have that table of contents to tell you where to go when you're looking for different things. And then it has all different facts about pandas. Same thing with monkeys. We have a monkey book here. So same kind of thing, has that table of contents and then tells you all different things about monkeys, maybe about their babies or what they like to eat, that kind of thing. And we have wildcats. And then we have this one that's called Predator Face Off. And this is about many different types of animals. So you might have a nonfiction story at your house too, and it might talk about lots of different things and different animals, okay? Now remember, we also talked about informational text doesn't have to just be animals. It can be other things. It can be a car or a toy or something. You could know a lot about school. Here are some other nonfiction texts that I have at my house that are more about like places where you can live, like in the polar region. So like where there would be polar bears and penguins, and it talks about the kind of land, and I have wetlands, and I have life in the rainforest. So this would give you lots of information about what it would be like if you went to the rainforest. And then I have streams and ocean life and forests, pond life, and I see a little turtle on here, maybe life in the desert. So there are many types of nonfiction books. So these are all about places where you can, different like land places, so different climates, where it's hot, where it's really cold, where there's lots of woods or trees. That's this type of book, and those other types of books that I showed you were about animals. But there could be books about motorcycles and dirt bikes and quads, really anything, okay? Today, though, I decided, you know what? I did something with my kids the other night that I hadn't done in a long time, and that was played some basketball with them. Raise your hand if you like to play basketball with your friends or family or mom and dad or brothers and sisters. It is so fun to play basketball. And usually we just play the game of pig, and I'm sure you've played that where you have to shoot, and then the other person shoots, and if they make it, you have to get there. If you don't make it and you miss, you have to get the letter. So Henry really wanted it to last a little longer, so he said, let's play Piggy, so Piggie. So we shot around and we did layups, and we kind of did some trick shots and all of that, and it was so much fun. So today, I am going to write all about basketball, because when I was younger, I played basketball on a basketball team. So I know some things about basketball because I've done it before, okay? So remember we have to have our title. And our title would be all about basketball. I wouldn't write all about sports because when I'm writing, I want to make sure I'm just focusing on one thing that I know a lot about to teach at one time, okay? So all about basketball. So I'm going to write my title, all about, I'm going to turn my easel just a smidge. There we go. Basketball. And remember when we're writing the titles, we use a capital on all in about and in basketball. So we always put a capital. And then you can always underline that title so that you know that that's the title. That's not the first sentence of my story. Okay? So then my next thing is going to say, I am going to tell you all about basketball. Remember, we have to have that topic sentence. So and you could say, today I will tell you, I am going to tell you. It could be anything like that. So I'm going to do, I am going to tell you all about basketball. Period. So there's my first sentence. So now I get into at least 3 facts. Could you write more facts than 3? Yeah. You can write as many as you want. If you know a ton of stuff about something, keep writing. I would love it if you wrote more than 3, okay? So I'm going to tell you all about basketball. So the first thing is you need to have a basketball hoop and a basketball to play basketball, right? Because you're not going to shoot a basketball into a soccer net, right? So you will need a hoop and basketball to play. So I'm going to tell you all about basketball. You will need a hoop and basketball to play. When you're playing basketball, you are shooting, dribbling, and passing the ball, okay? So you will need a hoop and basketball to play. In basketball, you dribble. Now I'm going to make a list. So because I'm making a list, I use those commas. Remember? Remember that? So in basketball, you dribble, shoot, comma, and pass the ball. Okay? So I'm going to read it from the beginning because I like to reread so I can make sure it makes sense. So all about basketball. I'm going to tell you all about basketball. You will need a hoop and basketball to play. In basketball, you dribble, shoot, and pass the ball. Sound good? I like it so far. What else do you have to be able to know about in basketball? When you're playing basketball, a lot of times you're playing against another team or another person, right? So you can play alone. I'm going to not do a comma, alone, or against other people. Because probably some of you have gone out and just shot the basketball all by yourself. And that's really fun too, to just shoot around or not play against anyone or not necessarily play a game, but you're having fun doing it. So you can play alone or against other people. And now I've done 3 things. I could do more if I wanted to. But I can also end it and say, now you know about basketball. Period. Now, so I want you to be thinking in your head for today's writing assignment that you're going to do. I want you to be thinking about what sport do you know about? Okay, so maybe you are in dance, and dancing is a sport because you have to really work hard in dance. So maybe you could write about dance. Maybe you played flag football or football with your friends and you want to write about football. Maybe you play hockey and you want to write all about hockey. Sports can be cheerleading, they can be basketball, soccer, baseball, swimming, tennis, anything that you do well and you know about. And if you don't know about many sports or anything that has to do with sports, then you can pick something else. But today, my task for you is to write an informational piece about a sport. Okay? Do you think you can do it? I think you can. See you next time.